Ah, Wisconsin. Wild, wooded, and wondrous. Take a second to breathe it all in as we explore with the people working to protect the state's land, water, wildlife, and Wisconsin's way of life.
Hello and welcome to Discover Wisconsin.
Our state is, in one word, breathtaking. Wisconsin takes pride in preserving its beauty with the help of land conservancies and events such as Wisconsin Land Trust Days.
Gathering Waters is Wisconsin's Alliance for Land Trusts. So we exist to strengthen Wisconsin's nearly 50 land trust organizations. A land trust is a nonprofit organization with a primary mission of protecting land. In pretty much every corner of the state, we've got a nonprofit that's out there trying to protect these really special places. The work behind our organization is what I like to call it the 3 W's. So water, wildlife, and Wisconsin's way of life. That's really what drives us. Land trusts are out protecting these beautiful pieces of land, and they have to do that forever. So they have to be strong, sustainable organizations, so we help to train and strengthen them in that way. We also do outreach and education and communications to help tell the story of land trusts, but also to talk about the values of land conservation here in Wisconsin.
Every year during the months of August and September, Wisconsin Land Trusts offer a variety of events and activities throughout the state known as Wisconsin Land Trust Days. Wisconsin Land Trust Days has an event for everyone, like this one hosted by the Mississippi Valley Conservancy in La Crosse. For one night a year, attendees are allowed access to private land that is home to the Franciscan Sisters of Perpetual Adoration for a garden tour, followed by a gorgeous sunset hike and later, stargazing.
The mission of Mississippi Valley Conservancy is to conserve both native habitats and farmlands here in the driftless area for future generations. We live in a very unique area of Wisconsin, and we have many microclimates on the land here. Those are a host to a number of threatened and endangered species here in Wisconsin, and we need to protect those. This is the hiking, growing, gazing event for Wisconsin Land Trust Days. The hike goes through the forest and out to a beautiful bluff overlook, and then you also get a tour of the amazing gardens here. The gardens feed the sisters here at the Franciscan Sisters of Perpetual Adoration. The gazing part of it is stargazing, and the La Crosse Astronomical Society comes in with telescopes and with expert volunteers, and they will point their telescopes up to the stars, the constellations, the planets, and teach us what we're seeing.
The Franciscan Sisters believe that we have an obligation to live in a sustainable manner with the natural world, and we want people to see what can be done if you can control invasive species and do timber stand improvement and those type of things. There's a wide variety of habitats on the property. We have natural prairies, we have walnut plantations, we have springs that come out of the ground on the property that feed a trout stream, and we have scenic overlooks such as the bluff that we're standing on here.
The reason why this event really represents us is you have private landowners who are interested in conserving the land. They have beautiful habitat that they're preserving. They're renting farmland, and then they have their gardens. So they're growing food for themselves, for other people in the community, and for all the birds and butterflies and animals that live here.
I love nature. My favorite thing is that it helps the land, and without any trees, then there wouldn't be any air for us to breathe.
Stream episodes of Discover Wisconsin to learn more about our state's beautiful places. Coming up.
Yeah, can you imagine being the family that gave up 4.4 miles of shoreline and 450 acres.
That's
Can
crazy.
you imagine that?
No.
It's the largest donation of waterfront in Wisconsin Land Trust history.
Really?
Absolutely.
Stay with us. We're heading up north to explore the Yaqui Forest Reserve here on Discover Wisconsin. Land trusts protect lands in every part of the state. The town of Hazelhurst in Oneida County has strong ties to nature and to the Northwoods Land Trust. Bring adventure out on the water as we join the fun with the Northwoods Land Trust. Today we're exploring Lake Catherine at the Yaqui Forest Reserve.
Cyrus Yaqui was my great-grandfather, and he was the one who was the original timberman in this area. This land has been in our family through a lumber company for over 125 years.
Why is conservation important in regard to specifically the Yaqui Forest Reserve?
People are obviously using Lake Catherine as a beautiful lake here in northern Wisconsin. It's a very clear lake, a large lake that has a lot of areas that are undeveloped due to the Yaqui family's vision of not developing it. So a project like the Yaqui Forest Reserve is so important for protecting huge shoreline areas. This allows for spawning beds for fish and amphibians and places for birds to nest and find their homes, and for people to enjoy stretches of a lake that are undeveloped and see what northern Wisconsin really looked like.
Ted, it's amazing to me that a reserve like this one wasn't just sold off to some private landowner.
It's unbelievable. So the Yaqui family great-grandchildren got together and they donated 450 acres, but more importantly, 4.4 miles of shoreline on Lake Catherine.
I can't even wrap my head around that.
It's the largest donation of shoreline in Wisconsin Land Trust history.
You're kidding.
The Yaqui Forest Reserve is open to the public for quiet sports. And so that means non-motorized. People can come and visit, hike, enjoy this incredible landscape, this gift to the people of Hazelhurst and northern Wisconsin.
Yeah.
My great-grandmother actually named the town. She found a clump of hazel, which in English, Old English, is a hurst, so it became Hazelhurst. The land has been passed down through the family from one generation to the next, and our generation recognized we had an opportunity. When we realized that we were in a position to be able to do it, we were very happy to do it. I think what I like the most about it is that the more you look, the more you see. The topography of this area is spectacular. The lake itself has got lots of different environments, and so I hope when they come here that they will experience them all, whether they come by water or get off and walk on the land. There's so much to see that it's all really interesting.
We wanted to donate the land because we didn't want it to be developed. We didn't want it to get chopped up into 100-foot pieces. We wanted it to stay pristine the way it is. You know, it's really neat to be able to go down a trail and know your great-grandparents used to go down this trail.
I have to admit that I'm not sure I've really ever thought about what a land trust is or what they do exactly. So this has been so enlightening to learn about the very important work of an organization like Northwoods Land Trust and Gathering Waters. What they're protecting is not only the land, but the wildlife, the riverways, the forests. That is so important. You just don't come across families like that very often who are so willing to share with us what they've enjoyed for so long. I don't think it gets any better than that. Head to discoverwisconsin.com to find a Land Trust Days event near you. Next, we pedal our way through the countryside of Waukesha County. Stay with us. We're back exploring the special places protected by the Land Trusts of Wisconsin. Waukesha County's Tall Pines Conservancy hosts a ride to the barns every year. Bicyclists pedal through lake country and learn about the importance of protecting Wisconsin's farmland.
At Tall Pines, it's important for the riders to understand our rural landscape is going to change dramatically as we lose these dairy farms, and we need to protect the farmland in this state. Our work is also protecting water resources. So we work with our farmers, establishing best practices on their farms such that we are cleaning up the water in our lakes and streams. I think it's important to get people on the land seeing what we do with land protection. We need to preserve the rural character in the state of Wisconsin. We're losing dairy farms at an alarming rate, and land protection is one of the ways to keep dairy farms and other farmers in business. We work primarily through purchasing conservation easements on their land that runs forever, and the land therefore can never be developed.
Good conservation and well-managed agriculture are more or less the same thing. We're after the same end goals. We want to take care of the resources that were there and make them a little bit better. We have to put back into the soil. We need to take care of our plants. We need to take care of our animals. We need to take care of our water resource. And all of that is about good conservation. A lot of Bike to the Barns is connecting local agriculture with the local community. And so Bike to the Barns gives people an opportunity to get out in the country, ride the back roads, etc. Farms are all about food. That's what we do, that's what we grow. And so what a better way to feature local food than to have rest stops that feature locally grown and locally produced food.
I think so many of the riders are very connected to the land. A lot of the farms they ride to are part of the Tall Pines organization. I think that they can see really hands-on that this is the type of project that this ride is preserving. I think even before we owned land, we realized the importance of farmland and how precarious it is in some places. So we wanted to find a piece of land that would be worthy of preservation.
The gardens are a work of love and labor. We grow pretty much everything that we eat. Whenever we have kids here and they can understand where food comes from and not just you go to the grocery store and just pick it up.
We have a stained glass studio as the main business, and the farm is another time commitment, to say the least. Half of what we do is preservation of old windows. And it goes beyond that, really anything. It's like the signs you see around here. Anything that's at the risk of being lost, it's just you always are drawn to it. And I think that's kind of with the land too. In a way, that's what you're doing. The gardens, the sculptures. I mean, you're preserving history of, I don't care what it is, let's preserve it.
My team is called Team Tour de France. So 2016 would be the first time we came as a team. The most important thing is talking to everybody who owns these farms. They don't just have you here, but they're feeding you food from their property. I mean, literally farm to table. We have learned about how a winter can affect what kind of insects or snakes or, what kind of growing season somebody has. We also have learned about when people spray their lawns, that runoff runs into our land. These people that we're looking in the eyes, that's who we're helping. That's what we want here.
Follow along with the crew on Instagram to see pictures from all of our travels around the state. And tag your own snapshots with #DiscoverWisconsin for a chance to be featured. Up next, I'm nervous at first about getting hands-on with mushrooms, but then they grow on me. Stay with us. Welcome back to Wisconsin Land Trust Days here on Discover Wisconsin. As one of the Midwest's premier conservation organizations, the Door County Land Trust works to preserve, maintain, and enhance the scenic beauty and ecological integrity of Door County. I made my way to Bailey's Harbor in Door County to partake in an event called Fungus Among Us. And while I have been on my fair share of nature hikes here in Wisconsin, this one blew my mind. I have to admit, I knew very little to almost nothing about wild mushrooms, but meeting Charlotte Lucas was such a joy. She's pretty famous in the Door County area and beyond, just because of her knowledge of both, nature and conservation in general, but specifically about wild mushrooms. Charlotte has been invested in the magical world of mushrooms for over 40 years. and has tacked many accolades onto her name by identifying and studying nearly 600 species of mushrooms. If you ever want to know why a mushroom grows a certain way, has a specific texture, or what the coloring means, she is your go-to gal.
Charlotte, what is the connection between mushrooms and conservation?
Mushrooms are nature's recyclers. When normal plants that have chlorophyll, which mushrooms don't, when they end their life, like a tree falls down, that tree will lay there forever unless mushrooms start to break it down and return it to soil.
Oh, never even thought of it like that.
So they're very important in life on Earth. And every time I go out on a mushroom hike, it's like going on a treasure hunt, because you never know what you're going to find.
Charlotte explained to me that this part of Wisconsin is perfect for mushroom growth because of the variety of ecosystems in a small area. As we started our trek through the forest down towards Kangaroo Lake, Charlotte pointed out multiple different types of mushrooms. She carefully dug them out and cut them up to teach our group about the various textures and colors.
What does it feel like?
It's super slimy.
The Kangaroo Lake Nature Preserve is home to some pretty diverse ecosystems, which means the mushrooms you'll find in warmer, drier parts of the forest totally vary from the species you might discover in cooler, damper areas.
Our wetlands are really key to our way of life and our quality of life here. So wetlands have a natural filtration capacity, so all of our groundwater is filtered by our wetland areas, but it also feeds out into the bay and the lake. We're really looking at protecting natural habitat for plants and wildlife. So all of our recreational waters and our beaches are also protected by the work that we do here on the ground conserving Door County. This place is like no other place in the world. And this is a particularly unique nature preserve because of the geology, the ancient shorelines that are here, 3 different types of forest habitat, plus this marl bottom lake, which is very unique in Door County. So it's just a wonderful place to experience firsthand. 15 minutes in nature is like a reset button for your life. I mean, it really is an incredible thing. And if you can find a quiet spot along the trail where you're just looking and observing and just soak it in, they call it forest bathing, and it is an incredible experience.
As we wrapped up our hike at Kangaroo Lake, I took a few extra moments to forest bathe, snapped approximately 800 pictures, and finally made my way back through the hardwood forest and prairie.
I just think it's phenomenal that there are land trusts here in Wisconsin. I found that a lot of the preserves are kind of little hidden secrets. Some of these places are actually not even accessible except for during land trust days.
Land trusts work tirelessly every single day to permanently protect our state's land. Most of these spaces are open all year long for us to enjoy. It's incredible that Gathering Waters encourages people to have fun outside during Wisconsin Land Trust Days event, so folks can visit these special places for themselves. Stream Discover Wisconsin anywhere, anytime. Continue the adventure on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, Roku, Smart TV, Chromecast, and discoverwisconsin.com.
Hershey wanted to make